So yeah, today I will kind of share the updates from the technical steering committee about this year's kind of activity report. Right. So just to recap, so in the last year, at the end of last year, I've kind of shared this at the end of in the last year's General Assembly, but our kind of focus for this year was mainly on the development on the robotaxi POV kind of curve-to-curve LFO autonomous driving use case. So this includes like driving in the dense urban cities and also into the highway as well with all the LFO driving on public road. Um, and we also kind of stated that we'll be kind of focusing on improvements on the usability and developer experience of the Autoware. So this includes like update on documentation, better CI/CDs, kind of better UIs for simulations, and also like introducing new kind of better development pipeline, for example, in what we're developing in OpenAD Kit and so on. So yeah, in the later slides, I will kind of explain these kind of materials that we did this year. But before that, let me give you an overview of some of the kind of statistics around kind of Autoware community. Um, thanks to everyone's kind of contribution, we now have like over 9,200 stars on GitHub with over 3,000 forks. Just within this year, we have almost like 3,600 pull requests being merged to the Autoware repositories. So that's quite a lot. And we also now have like 2,400 accounts in Discord server with like 757 posts creating Autoware discussions, which also shows that we have a lot of kind of interactions done among the developers of Autoware. So yeah, due to the growth of the Outware kind of community, we also have started to have some troubles around kind of answering a lot of questions coming up in discourse and discussions, and also having a lot of kind of review that needs to be done on pull requests. So we actually kind of introduced some of the kind of LLMs to our kind of community support. To improve their experience. So for example, in the Discord, we have kind of these Autobots to answer some of the questions that's been raised in the help section channel, so that the developers wouldn't have to kind of answer all the questions by themselves. We also started utilizing these AIs on the GitHub reviews to just help out with improving coding syntax to improve the coding quality as well, so that they can kind of improve their PRs without waiting for the actual kind of human reviews to be done. And just as a kind of user experience updates, we've also done a lot of improvements in the CI/CD, especially around like the CI/CD kind of waiting time. So for this, we actually kind of introduced AWS Code Build for scaling the GitHub flows that's working in the background. And we also started utilizing better kind of cache registration features on GitHub to speed up the process as well. And we also reduced a lot of kind of Docker image size to basically minimize the setup time for the CI/CD process to be running. So all these kind of improvements have been done to kind of improve the coding experience of Autoware. So yeah, thanks to these kind of improvements, we were able to kind of manage to grow the Autoware community. But we still have a lot of kind of issues in different places, so we're still kind of continuing to improve on these areas. Okay, and let me move on to the actual kind of feature development that's being done on the Autoware as a software, especially on this urban ODD. So for this one, we have quite a lot of improvements done, so I'm not going to be able to share everything today. Yeah, so one of the kind of major initiative that was raised during this year was the Autoware Labs activity. So this activity was focused on like developing more kind of to speed up the development around dense urban ODD that was kind of raised as a goal for this year. We actually had like a half-year duration for this activity to have the team members to be kind of focusing on these topics and yeah, basically accelerate all the kind of development around these features. So I'm gonna kind of share the quick overview of the achievements that's being done to this activity. But if you want to know the details, they are actually GitHub discussions around kind of Autoware Labs. So the final reports is available there. So if you're interested, please check them out as well. So the first one item that was done. Oh, sorry, I think it has some issues around kind of sharing the videos, but let me just share from the image. So the first thing that we've done was generation of the test scenarios for dense urban ODD. So for this, the ODD working group has done quite a job, and we're able to add 96 scenarios to be added to the evaluator. And these scenarios were actually used to kind of test if Autoware is currently capable of handling like complex features that could be seen in the dense urban areas. And using these, we actually improved a lot of kind of features, planning features in Autoware to basically improve the success rate of these scenarios. We still have some failing scenarios, but these kind of leftover items will be kind of continued in the Autoware working group as kind of best effort items from now on. We also did a lot of data collections to generate public data sets. So Leo Drive actually took quite a nice data set in Turkey to have over like about an hour-long data set, which can be used for testing mapping and localizations. They've also used it to test like the new kind of localization features that's being developed in localization mapping working group with loan features. We also have the new tools to help the annotation and the anonymization of the ROSPAC data. So this tool will basically blur out all the human faces and like the license plates out from ROSPACs so that we can kind of cover like the private information from the ROSPAC before sharing the information among the community. We've also done a lot of kind of significant improvements in simulator. So this includes like the improvements computational costs, spawning of NPCs from the Arvis screen, improving like vehicle dynamics simulation, and so on. So these features were currently kind of being developed under the fork of Autoware Foundation. And we are now kind of discussing a simulation working group and see how we can kind of merge this back into the upstream, the TF4's original kind of repository of the author. So yeah, these were quite significant updates, and I think this also. So yeah, I think from the Autoware developer perspective, we have now a lot of useful features available in the simulator to kind of ease the Autoware kind of testing. And not only the simulation, but we also done some tests using real vehicle testing. So I think for this, Leo Drive and Autocore has done quite a good job with their own vehicles. So the left one is the autonomous kind of emergency braking functionality test by Leo Drive, and the right side shows like the vehicle kind of parking scenario test to test like some of the scenarios that was generating on the ODD working group in the real kind of vehicle environment. So this one is like the parking scenario that's been kind of tested, and Autoware is kind of capable of finding a correct kind of parking spot and do the parallel parking on the roadside. So yeah, those were the kind of Autoware Labs activity updates. So yeah, like I said, we still have a bunch more kind of updates that we've done. So please check out the final report if you're curious. Let me move on to another kind of topic that we kind of worked on this year. So that is STB development. So for the STB development, we've actually kind of started new two working groups last year. Those are the API working group and reference design. Let me first start the update from the OpenAD Kit working group. But at the beginning of this year, in the CES, we've actually done a good demo with the connection with the cloud native development. So we've used the Tier 4's kind of evaluator tool to test Autoware's the containerized modules on the cloud environment. And using the exact same kind of Docker containers, those containers are then deployed to the actual kind of target vehicle hardware ECU, and then basically showcase the capability of doing the same tests with using same kind of containers through the OTA update on the actual kind of hardware as well, edge device. So for this, once CS demo was done, we've kind of cleaned up the code and released the documentations for the people to kind of replicate this on their own environment. And that throughout this year, we've done quite a lot of improvements around kind of generation, the CI pipeline to generate these containers on the Autoware side and with more kind of granularity. So I think we will be able to kind of showcase more updated features like on the next CES that's coming up next year in January. And we also have the reference design working group to kind of help out defining the reference hardware that can be used with the OpenAD kit and the SV development. So for this, they've kind of came up with the hardware reference list for that can be used with the Autoware. They've also kind of started to document out the reference hardware design for different kind of ODDs, so that people wouldn't have to kind of design their hardware from scratch. And we also have API working group, which focuses on defining the interface between different kind of containers and components that can be that will be communicating with Autoware. So for this, they've started with focusing on the V2X features, and for this, University of Delaware and ITRI is quite doing a good job on contribution with doing a lot of tests around like the V2X features, including like the V2X traffic light signal communications, no light of support detection, and doing like infrastructure assisted linking control. So all these kind of tests are being done on the actual hardware, and once those are done, they plan to kind of feed back the design back to the upstream Autoware. And then I would like to share some information about new working groups that we've started this year in the TSC. So the first one is Safety Assurance Working Group. We've kind of started a new working group to provide safety guidelines for the Autoware development, and so that people can kind of test Autoware more safely. For this, they've actually kind of looked into different members with their different tools that being used by the current Autoware users, and started to kind of come up with the first draft of the safety validation and verification plan for the Autoware. So if you're interested in kind of designing safety plans for Autoware, please can join the working group to help us out with defining these the documents. We've also started focusing more on the AI features to be incorporated into the Autoware. So for this, we've started privately owned vehicles working group, and Zane is taking the lead on this, and he's already kind of started the new kind of implementing new codes for improving the perception pipeline with utilizing more kind of into AI models, which focuses more on the visions and radars. And we're currently focusing on targeting to kind of do the first demo to be done in the first year of this working group, which focuses on like the single lane highway from facing sensors on under fair weather conditions. It's kind of first target, and we plan to kind of have these demos done. The third new working group, this is still under planning, but we also kind of plan to have AV 2.0 working group, which focuses on introducing the end-to-end AI models into the Autoware as well. So this helps us to kind of handle more complex situations and also help us to introduce like a more kind of data-driven approach to the Autoware, so that people would only have to kind of prepare their own data set to train the Autoware, instead of kind of tuning a lot of parameters for the rule-based planners and so on. But these are still under kind of plan, and we'll be starting to kind of start the meeting goals once we have aligned with the visions in the SPC. So yeah, those are the overview of all the updates of the TSC. So thank you everyone for listening.